Most unlikely of villains, smooths of brain and for pause. Does it talk? Does it know how? Does it boggle? Does it meow? In the lair of the cerebral bore, and will show him so much more. We'll leave your brains at the door.
Welcome back to Cerebrivore. I'm your host, Jason. Today is a bonus episode where we are reading through James Ward's Endless Quest book, Conan. So, what we've done here is I read the adventure up to a decision point. The listeners call in and vote for what the next path Conan will take should be, and we go from there. Conan and his friend Keelta have come across this wounded rider, this knight, Aquilonian knight, and they take this quest, a death quest from him to pass a scroll onto his father, the king. They're trying to get through this area with march riders at Bone Hill. They come across a girl, Shanandar, or Shalandar, who's the handmaiden to the princes and has been kidnapped by these march riders because they think that she's the king's daughter. They rescue her, and they're trying to get her and the scroll back to her father, and we are following their adventures. They've stopped outside the city itself, but the guards are giving them a hard time, and there's a question whether they let the girl try to talk her way through past the guards and get them in, whether they should pull back and sneak in the city at night, or whether they should just outright fight the guards now. So we have a couple votes to see what's going to happen next. But before we do that, I want to mention that Modiphius' run of 2D20 Conan is almost over. I could be wrong, but I believe the last time they're allowed to legally sell any of that product will be the 30th of June, 2023. I might be wrong on that date, but I believe it's the end of June. So they've got a really deep discounted PDF bundles, like $30 for every PDF they've ever done, which includes some stuff for the Monolith board game, Conan board game, which I'm a big fan of. And they also have some physical product left that's deeply discounted. And after the license is expired, they won't be able to sell that physical product anymore either, is my understanding. So if you're interested at all in Modiphius 2D20 Conan, I would recommend you go buy it now, sooner rather than later, because later you won't be able to buy it legally or you have to get on the used market. That said, if you hear this after that, don't fear, because you really don't need any of that to play Conan. All you really need is Barbarians Lemuria, the Robert E. Howard stories themselves, and if you want a little more inspiration, Marvel has a comic book out there. It's older, but you can pick it up for pretty cheap on the used market, and it's like the official guide to Marvel's Conan universe, or Marvel's official guide to Conan's universe, something like that. Type in Marvel official guide Conan, and it'll pop up. And between that and the Conan and the Howard stories, you don't need anybody else's stuff. You don't need anything Modiphius or any other game company makes. And Barbarian Lemuria is the best system out there to run Conan. But if you're interested in the Modiphius stuff, then grab it now, because, it's not going to be around much longer. Okay, we've got a couple votes here, so let's hear the entries. Joe of Hindsightless comments on YouTube, this is a tough one. If I knew for sure the girl would come with us if we decided to skirt the city and climb the wall at night, I'd choose that option for sure. However, since I'm unsure, my note is to have the girl talk first. Give her a chance to talk our way into the city. If that doesn't work, we can always mop the floor with these scrub-ass, jumped-up bully boy guards. Thank you for that entry, Joe.
Hey there, Daniel from Midas Keep calling in about Conan. Ooh, this one's a little tricky. Part of me says let the girl negotiate with the guards, but the whole half-open gate thing reads sleazy to me. So I feel like they'd pull something on us if we do that. So I'm going to say we back off and say, okay, fine, whatever, and we come back at night and try to sneak over the walls. That is my vote. Come back at night, sneak over the walls. Let's see if Conan the Thief pays off. and makes us Conan the King eventually.
Wow, for the first time ever, we have a tied vote. So what I'm going to do is do a minor riff off of something I heard on the Deck Heater and RPG podcast. I'm going to take two six-sided dice here, and the red one is going to be for Joe, the green one is going to be for Daniel, and I'm going to roll them, and whoever rolls the highest, that's the choice we're going to take. Oh, and they're tied. I rolled two twos. So we're going to roll again to see what path Conan should take. Okay, I dropped one on the floor, so I've got to re-roll it again. That's what I get for not using dice tray. I want them to be a little bit louder. Maybe you're hearing them roll. Oh, and Joe won. I rolled a 5 and a 1 that time. So we are definitely going to cautiously let the girl try to talk her way in and see what happens. You aren't sure this is going to work, but you move aside to give the girl a chance. She has proved a good companion along the way, and maybe she can get you into Galperon without a fight. She smiles at you and goes to the guard. I am the handmaiden of the princes. We have an urgent message for the king, and I know you'll want to let us in. The guards look at her in a way you know is going to cause trouble. The biggest one grabs her arm and waist and tries to pull her through the gate. Sure you do, little one, and I've got a sweet message for... He's prevented from making further suggestions by Shalandar's fist, which slams directly into his eye. The guard howls and releases her. You smile at the girl's courage, but see the other guard grab Shalandar and drag her to the gate. That's all you need. You leap on the short guard, knocking him flat. Keelta already has a spear aimed at the other guard's neck, holding him at bay. The guard beneath you yells for help. You quickly hit him in the back of the head with your doubled fists, knocking him unconscious for a moment. The damage has already been done, however. Heads appear on the battlements above the gate, and 5 more soldiers burst from the gate with weapons drawn. Wait, don't hurt us, Shalandar sobs. We want to talk to the king. The guards don't listen to her. The grim warriors see 2 of their number lying at your feet. In a heartbeat, a mass of them charge out of the gate. You and Keelta stand back to back, prepared to sell your lives dearly. As the nearest guards reach you, you hear a shout from beyond the gate. The king! You block a sword thrust with your spear and briefly consider running, but there are too many archers standing on the walls for this idea to work. Keelta jabs at one of the less careful fighters, drawing blood, but he loses his spear to a stroke of a fighter's sword. You move to help him as a commanding voice shouts, Put down your weapons! The king commands it! Cease fighting! You ignore the order, but the soldiers don't. To your amazement, they all back away, forming a circle around the 3 of you. A large, powerful man with an iron circlet on his head pushes past the ring of fighters. The king, Shalandar says in a hushed voice, and she bows to him. What's all this fighting? What are you 2 barbarians doing with my daughter's handmaiden? The king demands angrily. Prince Jenkin gave us a message for his father, you tell him, handing over the scroll. We were forced apart in the heat of battle and were followed by march riders. You don't want to tell him how his son died until later, when you and he are alone. These 2 men saved me, your majesty, Shalandar blurts out. The march riders were after the princes, but they took me by mistake. These men rescued me. The king looks at you and Keelta with new interest. Come, let us talk of this further. You shall be well rewarded. Although you don't trust the way things are going, for the first time you think your quest might be over. Keelta grins broadly, and you feel a weight being taken from your shoulders. You have done well and have shown these city people that a barbarian is a tough opponent. Your tribe will be pleased too. You enter Galperon a hero, and this tale has finally reached the end. Okay, that was it. That's the end of the book. There are, of course, other paths you could have taken. That's the great thing about Choose Your Own Adventure, Fighting Fantasy, Endless Quest, Middle-earth Quest, all these different kinds of books. Depending what you choose, depends what happens. Sometimes it ends sooner rather than later. But this seems to set Conan on a good trajectory for the next adventure in his life. I really appreciate everybody that's voted through the course of this book. If somebody has a specific genre they want to hear next, let me know. The contact information is in the show notes. If I don't hear recommendations on genres, then I will pick something on my own. Until then, be excellent to each other.
A Nerds and Co broadcast, Cerebral podcast. Let's savor all the flavors from the spinal tap straw. The all-stars and pods past, Cerebral podcast. You're counting down your last as you admire them all. Something's playing teeth, or so escaping your brain. What I mean is this machine's a freak, and from what I understand, that's Don't look now, the Cerebral is coming, and all that's left is the crying and the running. You can bring it, you can hide, you can above in any order. Just another brain or real toss running for the border. Just a snap.